Hey guys, yeah, I know you're expecting part 5 of Alex's mini mysteries, and you're gonna get it next week. We had some emergencies happen behind the scenes that is forcing us to take this particular week off. Don't worry, nothing like life-threatening or anything, but just things that we cannot avoid and have to take care of. So we'll be back next week as we are able to find time to get together and finish off this insane 5-parter that Alex has started. And I am just as curious to know what the hell this last episode is going to be, just as much as you. Until then, please enjoy a Minisode compilation, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Chilluminati.
You're welcome. I hate this every time.
Welcome.
Terrible.
To our
Every time.
Chilluminati episode 56. We're here for you with special guest Mike Repares.
Yeah,
What's
Michael
up, man?
Repares. Good to meet you. Thank you for having
Good to
me
meet
on
you
again.
second time
Yep.
over on patreon.com/Chilluminati-pod. This is the mini show after the show where we talk about crazy news, reader stories, and other crazy stuff. I'm not sure what everybody else brought, but I'm going to rant real quick. So the government UAP report finally dropped.
Waiting for this all week.
My God damn it, man.
jumped
It's
right in.
exactly
Nothing
what we
happened.
expected it to be. So first of all, the public only got a 9-page brief summary of the actual 90-plus page report that the Congress and Senate got. And the report TLDR says, they go, we can't say it's aliens. We can't say it's not aliens. Out of the 144 reports in here, 143 we can't explain. And that's basically all we got.
What did I tell you? What did I? We're never going to find out, man. There's no one.
Mitt Romney went on CNN today and actually talked to, was Jake Tapper, I think it was. And he basically says he doesn't believe that it is from another government. But whatever it is, don't worry about it because Russia and China are our real threats. So whatever these are, don't worry about it. But he doesn't believe that they're from a foreign government.
Can I just look? Let me just remind everyone what I said before when that general was on TV and he literally said, it doesn't matter what they are. The United States government always has to treat them as if they are from Russia or China because they are a threat no matter what, because we don't know what they are. And that's the truth of it. You're not going to find out. And let me just say, I feel like no matter what, I mean, like, isn't it? It doesn't. You know what? It doesn't matter. It's not. Nothing's gonna happen. I was gonna be like, isn't it suspicious? But it's not suspicious because nothing's gonna happen. It doesn't matter. It's never gonna. It's not anything that will ever be just told what it is. So
No, not the government will never tell us.
Yeah, I don't know why you would worry about it.
We will never know what they actually know, what they have. Do they have any piece of craft? Do they have any fucking actual biological material?
It's not in their
never know.
interest.
They'll never tell
It's
us.
probably
let
way
them
more
know.
boring than any of us suspect. They're like, yeah, no,
Exactly.
there's some lights in the sky. Who knows? We don't want
Yeah,
to seem like idiots, so we don't tell anybody.
They can't figure it out. Like they just don't know what it is. And that kind of, the other thing that what we got anyway out of that report is that they're once again, they're putting more money into a research organization that's going to look into these even further. But again, it's that situation where it's just like, they can't explain it. There's no way they can make sense of it. And so they were just left shrugging our shoulders.
I don't want to spoil how that's going to end, but they're going to be like, we can't say, we don't know.
It's so frustrating.
Well, according to that Reddit post from 7 years ago.
Alien.
Yeah, throw alien. There's still a couple weeks to go before they make their contact.
July 18th, supposedly.
July 18th.
Wow, okay.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Get
But
ready for those who believe in throwaway Reddit
mean-
posts.
I guess I'm happy that the government didn't come out and just go, definitely not aliens. They basically said, we don't know, which is nice at the very least. That's a step in the right direction.
Keep a little flame alive.
Yeah, it keeps the flame alive. It also, because I don't know if I would. And it's such a weird place to be. Like, short of just seeing a UFO straight up land in like a football field, like the government will never fully like acknowledge what the fuck's going on. And I don't know if they genuinely don't know if they actually know.
I haven't talked to my dad about it yet. He was really staking a lot on this
the report
disclosure
dropping?
situation. Yeah, he's been hype about it all year. He's like, these two big things are Loki and the report. So
Loki's great. I will say it is nice to see government officials now talking in more serious tones that are not laughing about it and are more like, okay, yeah, these things are around. We don't know what they are. We're trying to figure it out. But, for years it was even just like laugh that off. It was just like for years they denied that on media and was like, it's all fake. No. But now we know at least they're primarily coming out and saying, hey, yeah, we don't know what they are. So it's a step, I guess.
Like Hillary or Obama or somebody go on like some show and they're like, oh, we know a lot more than you do. Trust me.
Yeah,
like there's
Obama
a lot more.
Obama did it like within the past couple of years. Like a few people have done it recently. They're just like, yeah, we know things, but we can't share it with you.
I mean, I'm sure they know, like, we saw a thing and this is what it did. And I'm sure they know all that stuff, but there's no way they can say if it was an enemy, like this is the inherent problem with all this. If it's enemy tech, admitting that you don't know what it is shows weakness. But if it's something outside of like, our comprehension, then that also shows like we are woefully ill-prepared for that. But also if it's something that's ours, saying like, oh, we don't know, wink, is also an option.
Sure, I guess. But the way those things move just don't obey the laws of physics, which is why it's hard for me to swallow that it's even our tech.
I saw some conspiracy theory video about this lady, scientist who discovered some sort of like anti-gravity technology and she disappeared and all this weird stuff. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I don't know if there's like maybe like some country that just like got this research and like figured it out and they're doing some kind of insane anti-gravity stuff. I don't know, but there's all kinds of conspiracy theories out there about it.
Let me just really quickly put this out there as sort of a, from a Mathis is like, that doesn't look like any tech we have. Lately, in the last 20 years, boy, electric cars have been a cool thing. But also, electric cars were being developed in the 80s and in the 70s and in the 50s. And technically in the early 1900s, people were creating electric cars. And it's been around for a while. And it was fossil fuel that prevented them from existing. It was the gas companies that were like, nah, let's get rid of
100%.
So all I'm saying is there's the potential for all sorts of things we don't quite understand because we're not allowed to understand them for myriad of reasons that we aren't even thinking about right now.
You think big wheels keeping them down?
I'm telling you.
I'm saying if we have technology that can move the way those things are moving at a force and a G-force that should kill humans if they're sitting in the cockpit, then we should, like, no world war should scare us because we should be able to dominate them no matter what happens.
All I'm saying
only
is
China has it.
Ask why we don't have flying cars right now. Besides, like, just think of the logistics of having
Cyberpunk 2077 was not a video game. It was the vision of our future.
I'm just saying, like, think of the logistics of flying cars. Where are the stoplights? Where are the lanes? How does that work? Yeah. What is the height? What happens if one crashes? Like, that alone is a pain in the ass. So I'm sure if there's someone who has a flying anything to like, let's keep it to like 3. 3? Should we do 3? And like, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying.
Fair enough. What do you got, Jesse?
Oh, get ready for this. I'm about to take us to a weird place. All right. Vanillin is the compound that carries the smell and taste of vanilla, right? It seems pretty obvious. And it can be extracted naturally from vanilla beans, or it's made synthetically. About 85% of all of vanillin is currently made from chemicals, which, mostly are fossil fuels. Well, it is now a problem that the world has because, everything from vanilla scented candles to vanilla this, vanilla that, it's one of the most popular scents in the world. It is one of the most popular tastes in the world. And the demand is far exceeding the supply of vanilla beans. So scientists have resorted to just producing synthetic vanilla, or in this case, vanillin. Well, this is my favorite story of the week. Researchers just decided, why don't we, there are all these plastic bottles around. why don't we break down the plastic bottles into vanillin? And so that's what they're doing. They're using plastic bottles to create vanilla.
Wow. Imagine if that solves like pollution somehow.
Synthetic vanilla is like simultaneously a very exciting idea and one of the most boring things I've ever heard.
Right. All I can think of is those white Tootsie Rolls. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, God, yes.
God.
Albino Tootsie Rolls.
Basically, scientists and these researchers engineered bacteria with this teraflactic, whatever the hell, this kind of acid, and they heated it up to about 99 degrees and then just let it do its thing, and it converted 79% of the like trash refuse into vanillin.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they're like, this could help with the global plastic crisis because we are straight up just gonna like turn stuff into vanilla, which is so crazy. That's the thing they're doing is vanilla, which it's again one of the most favored scents, most favorite anything. And so yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not going to stick it in like vanilla extract. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. But the vanilla scent when you light your candles.
Yeah,
that's what you're going to have. The vanilla on your air freshener. That's that. It isn't real vanilla, but it's like synthetic. And that's what most people are into. And that's what they're going to do. And that's the plan is they're going to try. They said that about 1 million plastic bottles are sold every minute around the world and only 14% are recycled. So they're like, we need to do something with these. Let's turn them into vanilla. Yeah. And that's my little thing for the week.
On top of that, there have been all those stories about how like plastic recycling is basically kind of a scam now because China has stopped taking all of our plastic to recycle. And a lot of it is ending up in landfills, even if it's been, earmarked for recycling. So, yeah, that's great potential news until we hear that it releases some kind of toxic phthalate chemicals or whatever.
Or some lobbyist takes it out.
But until that time, vanilla for everybody.
It's a vanilla world, and we're just living in it.
I'm gonna scent my radium watch with vanilla.
We just become like a society that's just like how Fallout became like a society that's like gone, except instead of like nuclear power everywhere, it's just all like vanilla shit everywhere.
Yes.
Vanilla scented power supply.
Yeah.
Vanilla planet.
It's just terrible. Anyway, here's what I have for you today.
Thanks to Joybird for sponsoring this episode. And look, your home is your temple. Coming into your home should be nice when you come home, and you should have it decorated any way you want so that when you enter, you've got yourself a you vibe. Is that what the kids are saying? They call it a you vibe? Regardless of how you do it, Joybird should be where you get your furniture, and you should be getting ready for Joybird's President's Day sale. With Joybird, you can choose from over 18,000 customization options or browse curated collections to find the perfect piece for your one-of-a-kind style. With Joybird's protection plan, your upholstery and leather pieces will always look as good as new without having to treat them like they're in some sort of museum. Moreover, the quality and craftsmanship, stain and scratch-resistant fabrics, and limited lifetime warranty, Joybird furniture can handle anything your family throws at it, literally. Joybird stands by its quality and its craftsmanship. If it's not everything that you hoped for, just send it back. Create a space that brings you joy with Joybird. Visit joybird.com/chill to get 35% off of your purchase. That's 35% off at joybird.com/chill. Thanks again to Joybird for sponsoring the episode.
Michael has a listener story, so I'm going to just knock out my news stuff. I want to shout out The Guardian this week for the fucking wildest headlines of the week. First one that I saw that caught my eye was called Fire Monks Preparing to Defend California Monastery from Blaze, which was a wild thing to read. After reading it, it just turns out that there's like, it's a monastery that they have like a sprinkler system called Dharma Rain. That's like actually like
that sounds like someone from Lost, by the way.
Yeah, it's a system that like wets the area around the temple so that they don't, like if there's a wildfire, it doesn't burn down. So actually quite a mundane explanation in this specific case. But fire monks preparing to defend California monastery from blaze was a killer headline. But then we got the headline, massive human head in Chinese well forces scientists to rethink evolution.
Dragon Man!
Dragon Man. That's absolutely right. And the craziest thing about Dragon Man, other than the fact that he has a 15 centimeter skull that's like big, the quote from one of the scientists was just like, "This dude has a huge head," which is a hilarious quote. Apparently, it has ample room for the brain. People are thinking like, we've seen a couple samples like this now. They want to call it Homo longi, from the Chinese word long, which means dragon, or longai. And this apparently is now, they're like, it wasn't Neanderthals that became Homo sapiens. It was Homo longi. And the craziest thing is that actually this skull that we're talking about today was actually discovered in 1933 by a construction worker who was building a bridge on the Songhua River running through Harbin in Heilongjiang province, which is the Black Dragon River, which is why he's called the Dragon Man. But at the time in 1933, this Chinese city was under Japanese occupation. And so the Chinese guy who found it thought it would be valuable and smuggled it out of his work and like wrapped it up in like stuff and like hid it down in a well for 80 years. And then he revealed it on his deathbed.
Damn.
God.
To his family.
Wow.
And now we have it. So that's the Dragon Man. He's got a chill face. He looks kind of like some type of
enormous brow ridge.
Like he has a big ass head, so he just looks like a troll doll. Like he looks like he has that like weird face shape that they have, like that weird 80s troll shape. But like, man, what a wild thing. Like such a huge sea change in human evolution theory, if that's like a real thing. It's like a huge difference in what we've been taught since we were, it's like the biggest thing since Pluto. If you think about it that way, since we lost Pluto or gained him again. I don't even remember where we landed on Pluto as a planetoid or a planet. Big one. But I don't know. But to close this out, Michael's got a listener story that we got from user FoodSlut88, which is a great good username.
Thank you. This is titled "The Green Flash in the Sky." Short story. Sorry, I'm on mobile. I have had a handful of strange things. It's important to read the whole thing. I've had a handful of strange things happen to me. For some reason, even after the strange prophetic dream, the things that just don't make sense, and the stories I've heard from others, I'm still very skeptical. The odd thing about all these things I've seen or had happen to me, I don't seem to remember them well. Then something I will hear or just remember will flip a switch and I will remember. Well, listening to the podcast flipped a switch. It was about 3 years ago on a Thursday night in summer. I was 23. I had eaten, gotten my disabled mother to bed. I more than likely had made myself some tea, coffee, or just shoved a Red Bull in my bag, and probably a beer too. Like normal, I was running late to D&D night, but I didn't care. The garage we played in was a block from my house, and I would definitely not be the last one to get there. I double-checked my mom would be comfortable for at least an hour or two, and laced up my high-heeled Doc Martens and walked my way over.
What?
This is
my
a great
high-heeled Doc Martens.
Great mental image, great table setting. I love this. I went out my front door, turned left to go west to the end of my block, then turned north, crossing over the street to get to my DM's place. It was a lovely night. The air was nice and cool compared to the day, just kind of how it works here in Colorado. After texting my DM that I was 2 houses away and to just chill, I put my phone away. I was kind of looking around. Being a small woman on a poorly lit street, you don't let your guard down, even when you've known the street you're on for your whole life. Then, off to my left, I saw a big green light falling. This was summer, there were no clouds, and it wasn't around the 4th at all. I turned to watch it. It looked like a firework falling from the sky instead of ascending. There was no sound from it, no pops, no whistles, no bangs, just a falling green fire. I have seen meteor showers before. I know what space rock skipping off the atmosphere looks like, and that comes close, but I've never seen them green or that big before. Two things I find very strange. The first is that I didn't stop and stare. I will stop to look at a dog, a car accident, someone who's kind of hot. I am the person who will just stare. The second is that I didn't tell anyone when I plopped down in my seat when I got there. I just pulled out my dice box and books. We just chatted till the last 1 or 2 players showed up. Apparently the big green flash in the sky wasn't important enough to tell anyone. I'm a big mouth. I will tell you about anything and everything that happened to myself that day, but I didn't bring up the light even once. I don't think I told anyone in my D&D group. I'll have to check with them next Monday to see if I just forgot. Lastly, I was sober. I didn't have anything to drink or smoke before I got there. Leaving was a different story. I know I didn't even have a sip of beer before I left. I know that barium green falling light wasn't a hallucination or brought on by anything I had taken or been given. I have a decent knowledge of drugs due to experimentation and the awful times I've been drugged at bars. I think I should have said that with more gravitas. That's a terrible thing to
Didn't you see that one
hear
coming?
about.
Jesus Christ.
I was fine, just barfed on a hood of a cab in New Zealand, and the other times my friends got me home safe and sound. Sure. I just don't know what it was. Maybe space junk falling to Earth. I'm mostly amazed I didn't even break stride. I didn't even stop, let alone sprint to the garage, tall heels be damned, and tell everyone what I saw. That is one of the few oddities I've had happen. Feel free to read it on the podcast. If I have the energy to remember more weird things, I'll write them up. Now that I've called this The Green Flash in the Sky, I now must listen to Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds from 1978. Fantastic album, by the way. And hope that I didn't see the green light on the 12th of August. Cheers.
I mean, that's a pretty standard kind of UFO sight in the sky. I believe you. I believe that you weren't drunk or high. Sometimes your imagination can get away from you, but I don't think it was. I think you saw something that night. I believe you, Food Slut 88.
What do we think about a flare?
That's possible.
Like somebody popped a flare off.
Like if I didn't see the front half of a signal flare going up, and then I just turned and it was falling from the sky.
I wouldn't be able to tell you because I don't know what a flare fucking looks like IRL. I have never seen like a flare in person before.
It's a quite gentle. It's a quite gentle descent on a flare.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, at night where it's hard to see perspective properly, it might be, I could see that possibly being something that maybe they caught.
What do you think about the memory? Like, what do you think about the unwillingness to share?
I mean, there are certain times you see things like just think, that's weird. And then you forget about them until later.
That's true.
Or mind control. Just put it out there.
Yeah, alien mind control.
I mean, honestly, I think what happened is that like a few miles away from her, there was a crash site and someone happened upon it and began speaking an oath with the words in brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight.
That green rock might be.
Maybe it's the green stone.
Right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It could be. It could be the very same stone. Who knows how that story will end, or this
really
one.
Hard.
Oh, well, that's it for us on this particular Chill Mini. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week, my little Chilluminats over here on Patreon. And hey, if you haven't, go to Chilluminatipod.com. Get your live show tickets now before they sell out. October 26th out in LA. We'll be doing that. And there'll be another show on the 28th.
That's October 26th, 2021. Let us know if this show has happened by the time you're listening to this on YouTube when we finally put this out for everybody to hear.
God, it'll be at least a year from now.
I haven't asked in a while. If you're listening to this on YouTube after the fact when we've put it out for everybody, let us know what's going on in your life. Find me, be like, hey, I'm listening to the green flash in the sky episode. Let me know. I want to know.
Yeah, I want to hear. Make sure. Hope everything's going well in your life. That's it for us. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you. Goodbye. Hello, my little Chilluminauts, and welcome back to the Chill Mini episode 56. Hello, what's up? And welcome back, Michael.
Hello.
Thanks for hanging out with us for a little extra.
Thank you for inviting me.
That two-parter that left us all satisfied.
Yes, totally sad. No questions left unanswered.
Everything.
I feel like sometimes you just got to have a scandal.
You
know what I mean? What? Sometimes you just got to start a scandal. You just got to have a little.
You got to start a scandal.
You got to rile everybody up every once in a while.
That's how you get us canceled, dude. You're going to start a scandal and it's going to get us.
I don't want to be a part of a scandal. Can I be part of
Yeah,
like
it's a furor. It's a murmur.
I don't want to be a part of.
it's a firmer.
I don't want to be a part of any firmers. None of that.
Merger.
All right. Well, get your stories ready. I'm going to be nice and quick. Hey, guys, Bigfoot was once again not only caught on camera, but it became a viral TikTok video.
Was it like one of those dancing Bigfoots? Like, look who's in the corner of my bed. Bigfoot's
I'm
like,
going to link you the article. It's a YouTube video right in the front of the article that's already queued up at the time for when you're going to see Bigfoot in the background. You know this is some good stuff.
Shut up.
I can't wait.
You're going to see him in the back. Oh, there he is. And there he goes.
There he goes. Dude, it's good. Do we like it?
They do a slow-mo after. What do you think?
All right, here's the truth. It is perfectly dark enough to be visible in that split frame, and no animal,
There's a couple frames.
no
right?
animal, no nothing that lives in a forest like that is going to be that dark compared to the rest of the forest.
Like
Natural
let's see,
selection
hang
would have
on.
taken
Go
those
to-
dudes out long ago because they're so dark.
Yeah, good point.
That they would have been visible to like hunters.
Don't you get him?
Or
You're not allowed on his
predators or
side.
anything.
Mike.
I'm just saying, science proves that it's like pitch black.
Pause it at 48 seconds. Okay, that's where you're gonna get your best view of it. Maybe 49.
Oh,
like
yeah. He's
that's your
loping.
good-
Are you kidding me? Look at him. He's loping through those trees.
It is.
It's not as good as the Patterson Gimlin, but it is. It has
It's
the
the
same
next
body
best
shape.
thing that we've got. All right.
Again, too
It's
dark. He's too. His fur is too dark for him to be of natural to that area.
What if he's like from Predator? Like maybe he's just trying to lower his heat for the sensors.
for the
He's
sensors?
going pretty quick, man. He's keeping up with
That
that
is
thing.
easy to be detected on this video being angled directly at where this thing would be walking.
Maybe that's just a short sliver of the. Listen, all right, Bigfoot is on camera.
You're
Okay,
telling. You're
that's all I
telling.
got.
Like I can't. Why are they filming this one direction?
Maybe they're trying to get the driver. Maybe they asked him a question or something.
And
I
then
don't
they
know.
decide to
It's
film
like-
directly out the windshield and not the actual driver responding.
Well, they're at the windshield and then they turn. I think.
The only thing that's weird about it for me is that it like turns to the driver.
Yeah.
Then you see Bigfoot. But like, wouldn't that be how it happens?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's definitely Bigfoot, but you never know.
Most certainly
Bigfoot
not.
is in the zeitgeist right now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's happened, but somehow, you know how sometimes, all of a sudden there's two movies about Truman Capote at one time. I feel like right now there's like everybody's thinking about Bigfoots. I don't know why. It happened to me. I'm thinking about Bigfoots. I think it's happening. I just mentioned it randomly in like the 100th Chilluminati episode as like a joke. I mentioned the Bigfoot, and then it's just been Bigfoot after Bigfoot.
It's just that we just have that kind of influence now. What can you say?
Yeah.
We just dominate the Bigfoot world.
The Chilluminati bump.
Yeah, it's that Chilluminati bump. All right, who's taking it away next from me? Because that's all I brought today. Bigfoot was seen on camera, very believable. Whoever wants to take it from me, you may.
Okay. Well, I have one that's just kind of like, I like this because it's crazy that it happened. Because there's a screenshot of it. I hope it's a real screenshot, but the thing really did happen. This is like an article on CNN. I'll give you the link so you guys can see the screenshot. But apparently, for 4 days, a dude in Louisiana got $50 billion deposited into his bank account.
Holy crap.
Just $50 billion were put in. And there you can even see there's like a little pic of his phone and the money being removed from his account, the $50 billion. Nobody knows how it happened. This kind of goes along with the other thing that I was talking about the other day, which is like my new thing that I obsess over is like things that are going wrong that we don't know anything about. Like we basically the other day, I did one about two grenades that went missing from a pack of grenades that were taken off of a train. Like somebody found a bag with a box of grenades in it in their backyard, and two of them were never recovered. Like what happened to those two grenades? And one time, like some guys did like a mysterious late night sniper assault on the power grid and like blew out the power to one area just like really efficiently with like a 2-man crew. Like stuff like that to me is like the dark side of this type of line of thinking about stuff. Is like, obviously I'm not too concerned with whether stuff is true or false. I think it's just interesting to examine what kind of stories we tell each other, right? Hence the green stone. But like, I feel like, there's something weird about that, right? Like things being tested, things like little weird mistakes here and there. It's like the plot of like a Doctor Who episode or something about like slowly an alien taking over. Like, for example, I guess this is not really an example, but like in this news story, it says that the last time that something big like this happened with a lot of money, it was much less money. Like $50 billion is totally crazy. But in 2019, a couple in Pennsylvania got in trouble. They faced felony theft charges because they got $125,000 dropped into their bank. And they just like, didn't say anything and just like spent it. Right. But my thought is like, is whose fault is that? Like that whole like element of behavior and like where like if your system tells you have money, like don't you have that money? I don't know. Like it's weird to me. Like if
it's definitely a gray area, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not legally, because which side has the money to retain a bunch of lawyers and write legislation.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, like, yeah, if you dropped $125,000 and someone else picked it up, like would they be on the hook for theft charges if they didn't go, hey, whose is this? It's not mine.
Right. Exactly. Or what if a company put a lot less in a lot of people's accounts? Like what if a company put $1,000 in everybody's accounts and they just all spent it, and then they were like, hey, we need that back, or you could subscribe to Netflix for 10 years each and we're good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like there's just weird, like people being manipulated by giant forces that we can't control, energy going on. And, it's paranoid. It's paranoid thinking, but it's like, it's really weird. It's stuff that weirds me out. It's the stuff that I actually do think about when I'm watching scary videos at night. It freaks me out.
I've been a big proponent of therapy for a long time now, and Talkspace has been with the show for a long time as well. Thanks to Talkspace for sponsoring this episode. And whether you have big or small dreams for 2022, therapy is still something worth investing in. When it comes to your mental health, the best way to see lasting progress is to get support from a licensed therapist who can show you the way forward, step by step. And with Talkspace, you get support from a personally matched therapist right from your phone or computer whenever you need it. So you can make taking care of your mental health part of your daily routine. There's not a day that goes by where I am not thankful for going into therapy all those years ago. It has helped me achieve my goals, keep my life kind of in schedule, and really helped me reflect on the things that I've done and the things that I want to do. And whether you deal with anxiety, depression, self-doubt, or anything else, Talkspace matches you with a licensed therapist who can give you the support whenever you need it. And with Talkspace's encryption and added security features, it keeps your conversations fully protected. Make mental health part of your daily routine with Talkspace. Visit Talkspace.com and get $100 off your first month when you use promo code CHILL at sign up. That's $100 off at Talkspace.com when you use promo code CHILL. Thanks again to Talkspace for sponsoring this episode. Who take it? Oh, well, who wants to take it?
I'll just really quickly. Hey, earlier this week, I was talking with a dear friend of mine about, weird factoids. And he brought up the fact that the liver can regenerate. Like your liver, like, of course, you can drink too much or you can have too much Tylenol or whatever. But overall, the liver is the only part of your body that can regenerate, like, fully back. So you can give your liver to someone else and then grow another one within a full year, like a complete full liver. And I brought up a whole thing about like, well, why don't we study that and figure out how to use that for the rest of the human body? And apparently the real reason is because it's very much like the way cancer cells grow, and that the liver is regulated. And, it's complex to like regulate regeneration. And so the difference between like a growing back healthy liver and then like a cancer cell is, a razor thin line. So that's one of those things that scientists are trying to figure out. Anyway, this took me on like a deep dive into the world of regeneration and renewal and all sorts of stuff like that. Cause like, man, the body's super interesting. Turns out that recently there was a study that this is from the 23rd of June that apparently Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons has a study about, going gray, right? And your body and aging and all that stuff. And they were saying that there are mechanisms that they are now trying to understand about stress and how stress can actually, it's always been like an old sort of like wives' tale, but the idea that stress can cause you to go gray, that whole idea of like, you're so shocked, your hair went gray, like that kind of thing. And they're like, first off, totally true. That is accurate. It can happen. It is 100% true. However, they have, as they studied, determined that based on all the information and all the like fine microscopic looks into hair, they were like, oh, guess what? Turns out that the aging of humans is not a linear thing, right? It's a fixed biological process, sure, but because it's a process, it can possibly be halted or even temporarily reversed. And they're studying the fact that like, turns out if you are, for example, stressed about something and you get gray hair, you can reverse that effect. And sure, a 70-year-old person is going to have a harder time reversing that effect than, say, a 10-year-old person. But the idea is you reduce the stress levels, you change, your life, and you can reverse that process. And it's fascinating to see that they're now studying this.
Like losing weight?
I mean, they say like losing weight, for example, is a stressor, which is why people who lose a lot of weight lose their hair often. Right? Like they lose hair, or people
God damn it.
So like, because your body's like, it depends on how fast you're losing it. Right? Like if you're, a great example is people who get bariatric surgery, they lose a lot of weight very quickly, but they also lose hair. Like that's one of the side effects is they just like, cause their body is like, oh no. And so it goes,
new moms also go through that a lot of the time after having a baby, they lose a lot of hair in their postpartum.
Yeah. It's essentially just like stress on your body. There's so much stress and your body's just dealing with it. And so they had a study where these participants wrote in a stress diary about their levels of stress, and they compared the color data from their hair, and basically long periods of stress increased gray, and no periods of stress, like the gray decreased. And they could see that there was sort of like, in guys like beards, for example, or in their hair, they could see that like, sure, there were grays, but like the gray in the gray, like went away a little bit. And so it's fascinating. So they were like, look, obviously the older you get, the body has a harder time doing this stuff. But based on like the mathematical models, there's like a threshold that you need to reach before all the biological factors and things push you over that threshold and just like force it to happen. But like for most people, if you're in your like 30s or we have friends who are, when they were 20 something, started graying, and they're like, yeah, no, that can be reversed. You are young enough that you can literally stop that from happening if you just like, I don't know, take a week off. That's what they're trying to like, calm it down a hot minute and think about yourself before you think about like all the other things in your life. And so that's kind of what they're
medical news for not YouTubers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
So I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, cool. Another really body factoid I had no idea about.
It's crazy that we're still learning such integral things about our own bodies and how they work. This far in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what do you got?
So I stumbled across a story thanks to a thread on Best of Next Door, which is one of my favorite Twitter accounts, but talking about The Watcher. And this was an incident that started in 2015 in a town called Westfield, New Jersey, where this family bought this expensive house in an upscale neighborhood and started to move in, and within days got a strange letter addressed to the new owner that read, "Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out.
Did he write, ha, 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 ha?
Just about. But this began a years-long campaign of harassment by this person that only called themselves the Watcher. And the people in this house spent just as long trying to figure out who this was. Like, it wasn't, they eliminated like the other people who would bid on the house because they'd like backed out voluntarily. They thought, okay, well, we have these neighbors next door that have this son with a history of mental illness. Maybe it's them. But they maintained their innocence, and it could be other neighbors. Some of the neighbors started to think like, well, these people are clearly making up this story themselves for attention. And that became like a narrative. And it ended up like years later that the family like didn't feel safe living there. So they ended up like renting out the house, and the renters say like, yeah, we still get creepy letters sometimes, and we made the owners put up cameras all over the place just in case anyone tries to come here. But it was like this family under constant threat with these cryptic notes coming through, and like it's an unsolved mystery. And so I read about this on thecut.com. It's a pretty fun read, The Haunting of a Dream House. And one thing that raised my hackles up just the slightest bit was that one of the suspects, so police staked it out for a while, and they saw this car idling out in front of the house for too long. And so they went and talked to the driver, and she said like, oh no, I'm just the girlfriend of a guy who lives nearby. But, he plays a lot of really disturbing video games, including one in which you play as a character named the Watcher. Like,
what?
I don't think, I think she misremembered The Witcher. Honestly.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. I was like, the Watcher. What game?
Yeah, I can't think of any. But
yeah, me either.
But yeah,
all I can think of is the Marvel characters.
It kind of made my blood boil a little bit reading this. Like, for anyone to be treated this way, I think like if it were me, because there was reports of like stuff on the front lawn had been vandalized. Like, I would probably just sit there all night in the darkened windows of the house and just stare out at the front and wait for someone to come. And then reading down further, it's like, oh, yeah, the father did that. And then he got a note saying, like, I saw you staring out at the lawn all night. Like, binoculars and telescopes are wonderful inventions.
What the fuck? If I was living, I think I'd be horrified, but also extremely mad.
Yeah,
I would be kind of excited, I think, at first. I think it would probably
all the stuff about, like, do you know what's in the walls?
Yeah,
and, like,
that's so classical, like. Yeah.
And they apparently had someone like an inspector come and check it out. And it's like, no, it's just, not much insulation. That's the only thing that's wrong with the walls here.
The Watcher's like, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You found where I tore out all your insulation.
Yeah. Dude, that is freaking weird.
It's bizarre.
That reminds me of the Circleville letters. Which was, it turned out to, I forget what it ended up being in the end, who wrote the letters. I don't know that they ever came to the end of the situation, but it was like, this guy was like trying to shame somebody for cheating and then like put a gun in a mailbox or something to like try and take someone out one time with a road sign. It's crazy. Like, people do that.
People are fucking crazy.
As unbelievable as that story sounds, it is a real thing. That is so insane.
Yeah.
That's
The Watcher too. God,
that's a cool fucking name, though. I do like the name.
And it's just all this weird, creepy stuff about like, have you brought the new blood as I asked? The house is mine. It responds to my orders.
Professor
and
Layton,
like nothing ever happens.
Energy. Yeah.
Wild. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for joining us once again here.
Thank you for letting me.
Chill Mini. Yeah, no, it was great to have you. As Alex said, you have such a crisp voice, which goes a long way. People can find you at, once again, Vigigame Apocalypse and the Laser Time Podcast.
Yes,
correct?
yes. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Wikiparaz. That's WIKIPARAZ.
And we will be back next week with another Chill Mini for all you wonderful patrons. Thank you all so much for the support. We love you. Goodbye.
Peace.
Bye.
Hello, my little Chilluminauts. And welcome to Chill Mini something. 57? I want to say it's 57. Might be 58.
Hell
I don't know. I can't believe we have 50 fucking 7-8 weeks of Chill Minis already at this point.
What a bounty. It must
It
be
is a bounty.
to log on to patreon.com/Chilluminati and see all those. And if you're watching this on YouTube, there's been 100 by now or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Must be at 100 at that point by the time this hits YouTube.
The value is unbelievable.
Unmatched.
Unmatched anywhere. Today's minisode, boys, I don't know what you brought, but I'm gonna take it right out the gate. I don't know if you've realized today, at the time of this recording, is July 18th, 2021. No aliens have landed.
Oh, I've realized. But here's what I'll say. It is only 8:09 p.m. where I live.
Okay.
And in Hawaii, it's only 5 o'clock.
The throwaway alien post that we covered multiple times, pretty in depth, that predicted that on July 18th, 2021, that the extraterrestrials would make significant contact with humanity has not occurred.
Unless was there a guarantee that everybody would know?
Well, do remember that in typical hoax-like fashion, the last post he made a few months back really kind of went back on everything he promised in the first post 7 years prior and established plenty of outs for, so if nothing happened, well, maybe something happened between aliens and the government. And we don't know because it's not time for us to know yet. However, significant contact between aliens and the government has happened in a way that hasn't happened before. That's what people right now on the throwaway alien or subreddit are saying, because it's really hard for some of these people to swallow that nothing is happening. Welcome. I'm 35 years old. I've been an alien since as far as I can remember. Get used to this flavor of disappointment, everybody. This is what it's like to be a UFO
It's almost
enthusiast.
like it's never going to happen.
It's like that game on PSN that came out and everybody thought it was a new Kojima game. And then there's like a whole subreddit about it. And then they were just
the
like,
blue bottle one.
Yeah.
The blue bottle thing. Yeah. Yep. That was like a couple weeks ago, dude. That was not even that long ago. So unfortunately, the subreddit ended up growing really, really big over the past few months. People were fucking hyped for this shit. I would even say a majority of them were good-natured, like excited, where they're like, I don't think anything's going to happen, but this is super fun. And what if, and that's really enjoyable. That's like kind of like the vibe over there for the most part. But there's still a good number of people over there who are either saying that they keep the one piece of evidence they keep going to is that apparently about 20 hours or so ago, the meteor activity in the sky was insane. There's like an official meteor like measuring thing you can check out online. Apparently it was nuts, and a really big one came through, one that people quote unquote, and this is people on Reddit, mind you, have never seen before. And so there's a lot of people who believe that maybe some sort of contact has been made between the world governments and aliens tonight. However, we unfortunately do not get to see the fruits of that labor. Other people are saying he meant tomorrow, not today. Don't know why that's the case. I don't know why people believe that.
Oh my God.
It is the case.
The exact same thing as our last episode.
no, it's not.
It is
because they're not trying to take your belongings and then kill you at the end.
But the same fundamental, like, all right, so the world didn't end, but like it is though. It's going to though.
That happened in 2012 too. Remember that? Remember that guy?
Yes, and that was dumb then too.
2010 was also another world-ending year, if I remember
2000,
correctly.
we were all supposed to get robo-killed.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
2020, we were all going to die of that virus, remember? And then that went away
planes
were gonna
completely.
fly
There's no
out.
more virus.
It's very similar. It's not as lethal or dangerous, obviously, as something like that, but it's the same kind of mentality that kind of transfers over to people wanting something to happen.
The problem
Don't
is,
get me wrong.
the problem is
There's a part of
discussion.
me that had a
Discussion
fraction of a
blossoms.
piece of hope. Yeah, exactly.
That's
It's
the
a
problem.
fun-
People take it and they run with it. And then it's like, it's like Smash Bros. Where they're like, if I don't get Minecraft, Goku, Halo, Doom Guy, I'm going to be pissed because that's what I'm owed.
Doom guy.
Oh, those people are fun. Oh, God. I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying I was expecting it, but of course I had a sliver of like, what if? And like, I was, hoping that maybe something would happen. It didn't. It never fucking does. Even when something from the government is supposed to come out, a report, the report literally is a bunch of nothing.
Well, listen, if there's a patron from Hawaii, okay, and you're listening to this, just let us know how it went down. The last couple hours of this thing.
Yeah.
We still have 7 hours in Hawaii for it to be today. So, let us know. Let us know if you're out there.
Like,
let
what
us
if
know
it
what
meant
happens with
tomorrow?
aliens.
Or next Thursday.
Yeah.
what
What if it was August?
You never know. the cosmic calendar is different. You know what I mean?
Maybe
Like
maybe the aliens are gonna come down when Trump gets back and walks back into office. And
it'd be like hand in hand,
2021,
hand in hand together. Yeah,
Trump in a gray walking up the White House lawn.
his new vice president, Morp.
That's all I got today because I just wanted to talk about it a little bit and kind of like the vibe over in those who were really expecting something to happen and stuff. I'm not surprised. If you're new to UFO excitement, genuinely enjoy the taste in your mouth in this moment. This is the taste of UFO
This
fandom.
is the taste of fandom. Ooh.
Yeah, disappointment. Bad wording, actually, now that I mentioned it. But oh well.
I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Who's taking it?
Okay, so I have an article from the Adirondack Daily Enterprise. It's a New York newspaper about the Adirondack region area, St. Lawrence County. Shout outs to New York. Apparently, this is from a couple weeks ago. Apparently, in 2020, there were 113 sightings of Bigfoot reported in New York alone.
Nice. The New York Bigfoot.
Yeah. I mean, they got, you'd be surprised how much rural area there is. Everybody thinks of New York and they think of Manhattan. They don't think about how Spider-Man couldn't even get around most of New York because there's so many trees.
Here, says Bigfoot.
I'm swinging here. I'm swinging here, says Spider-Man. But there's a little bit of Bigfoot fever. I'm going to take you guys to Messina. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm not up on the Adirondack, regional names. I apologize. But I got a bunch of quotes. This is a quote. This guy, Michael Giemond, was driving home on County Route 37, 11:30 p.m., June 20th. Here's a quote from him. Something bipedal ran across the road within 50 feet of my car. This thing was extremely fast. I was going 60. It crossed the road from right to left in less than a second. It was not a deer. I've seen plenty of deer. This thing was brown or gray, shaggy, and had arms and legs that moved in a circular motion. I don't know exactly what that means. I'm picturing like a rodeo clown falling through the air kind of vibe. In terms of circular motion, I don't know exactly what that means. But apparently he posted on his Facebook. He posted that story on his Facebook, and that made he posted that, and then he heard from other people in the area who have had Bigfoot sightings. There's another one from a guy named Eric Lawson. That's not spelled how you think it is. Eric is spelled A-R-I-C. He said, I lived there in 2011 and I started walking my dog outside at night around 8:30. The woods at the back of my house went on for miles and miles. I was out there a couple nights and I kept hearing a loud screaming noise. It sounded like nothing I've ever heard before in my life. It sounds like a mix between an elephant and a bear. It goes right through you. It's deafening. So I guess he lived in a place called Louisville.
Louisville?
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Louisville Slugger.
I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's the same Louisville. Maybe it's Louisville, New York. I'm not sure. Louisville, maybe is how they call it in New York. I'm not sure, but he lived there from 2011 to 2015. He wasn't a Bigfoot believer. But here's another quote from him. He said, the summer of 2013 was when it started getting really bad. Every night I would have company over, and every time we were outside, we would hear this thing screaming. One day I came home from work at 8 a.m. and my neighbors were all outside. And while I was at work, one of them ran through my yard and destroyed my birdhouse. There were big footprints through my whole yard and hair stuck in my fence.
What year was this?
That was in 2013.
He has no pictures?
No, he wasn't there. He got home.
Pictures of them though, like of the damage.
He got home. I don't have it here if he posted it, but he got home from work in the morning after working like a late shift, and he found his whole neighborhood in an uproar over it. And so there's a place called Seaway Valley Bigfoot Research that has a guy called Dean Gleason, who that guy reached out to after the recurring incidents, and they did a week-long investigation. The DEC came with him, and they all went back into the woods. I don't know what the DEC is. I'm not sure what the DEC is.
Disney Extended Cut. I don't know.
The director of everything cool, maybe, from the Bigfoot Research Center. They all went back into the woods around 3 a.m. They were doing tree knocks, and the thing was doing tree knocks back. One of them threw a rock into the brush, and a minute later, something threw the rock back at them and let out a huge roar. So that's pretty crazy. And then that guy Gleason turns out that guy, he began it because he wanted to have sort of like a UFO style service for people to report their Bigfoot sightings to. And then we got a quote from that guy Gleason who says, I've been doing Bigfoot research for quite a number of years. I've had 6 sightings in this area. I used to have a Sasquatch sticker on my Jeep, and I had 40 to 50 people come up to me throughout the community and tell me their stories. A lot of people think Bigfoot research is a big joke. People laugh at me. Some of my own family doesn't even believe me. But after doing it for 10 years, he believes the animals are harmless unless provoked. He says, I don't want any of them to get hurt or people trying to find them and mess with them. I really feel they don't bother people unless they're provoked. I've only ever had one get aggressive with me. I've been in the woods with a lot of them, and they've always left me alone. The United States has a lot of habitat for them. They're a worldwide phenomenon. Every country has a belief in an animal like this. There's a lot of credible evidence. And as DNA technology advances, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. So there you have it. And there's a picture. The one picture that is there is of Gleason, and he's got what he says is a plaster cast of a Bigfoot footprint, though I will admit, if I'm going to link you guys this right now, I will admit it just looks like a slightly foot-shaped piece of earth. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what
take a look at this thing.
I don't know what to tell you. That's the one picture that comes with this piece.
Yeah, he looks confused that a camera's pointing in his direction in the picture. And it just looks like a hunk of fucking dirt to me. I can see like it's slightly oval shaped like a foot is.
Yeah, I wonder if there's just like a rear window syndrome for people in the woods in COVID where they're just like, something's out there. I'm here. I'm home all the time. So now all the things that I'm not used to hearing, they're out there.
Yeah, maybe. And here's... Okay.
No, I'm blown away. So I had a deep dive because I was like, is it Louisville or Louisville? It's Louisville. What's crazy is that Louisville is straight up minutes from Canada. Like I was like, where is this in upstate New York? Where is this at? It is like you're an hour away from Ottawa. It looks like this is, and I guess Montreal as well. It's like right in the middle. It's wild. It is as far north as New York can go.
That's wild.
It is in the forest.
I love that environment for Bigfoot, the snowy giant tree vibe.
Right? Let me give you, I'm going to tack on a little bit more, Alice, because Bigfoot has also been seen recently, and this comes from July 13th, out in Michigan. There's video of him crossing a river.
Dude, I saw that. I saw that footage. Yeah, send that to me.
Yeah, there you go. It's it's linked at the time. It should share you at the time when you can start seeing the Bigfoot crossing
I saw
the river.
this. This looked, honestly, this is like as good as the freaking Patterson Gimlin film to me. I can see that it looks like a Bigfoot carrying a baby.
Huh.
Like a baby monkey on his shoulder.
Yeah, and it's got orange fur, more orangutan-y looking, at least in this video.
Yeah, like me, which I like. I feel representation matters.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this comes from...
I don't know. Just looks like just a person to me.
Which is exactly what a Sasquatch would look like from a distance.
Jesse. A person?
Yeah, because they're the missing link.
I don't know. It's like a person. If it is a person, it's a person who seems to have some kind of other person climbing on their shoulder. And they seem to be wading way steep through a river. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
This one's it's called Michigan Bigfoot Video Crossing Cass River is the YouTube video.
This looks like a guy. I don't know.
Bigfoot kind of looks like a guy, It's like it's one of those things.
Sweet. Jesse?
Yo, I want to talk about something that I've been hearing all week and has made no sense to me. So I looked it up. So I kept seeing news articles about moon wobble.
Yeah,
dude, this is
it sounds incredibly like moon wobble. Time out. What? Like when there's like the moon wobble, I was like, hold on. What does this mean? So just like, little backstory. The moon, since I think it was like since 1720 something, when we first documented it, the moon has a wobble period where, because it's in orbit and orbit isn't
it gets closer and farther.
Yeah, like has a wobble. And it's basically every 18 years or so, every 18 to 19 years, the moon has a wobble. And that affects tides on Earth. Obviously, everyone understands that the moon affects tides. And as it goes around the planet, it doesn't go around us in a perfect circle, right? It just like we don't go around the sun in a perfect circle. And so the moon, as it, moves in and out and all the different things, tides change. And so what happens is that the wobble of the moon affects the amount of tidal change. And so what is going to happen, according to scientists, in 2030s, during that decade of the 2030s, so 10 years from now,
it's going to be brutal, guys.
The wobble will be bad to the point where normally if like a tide rises 6 or 7 feet, it's going to be like 10, 20. And so they're like, global warming is really messing with all this.
Yeah, it'll be like the first time the ocean is already high when it's wobble time.
Yes. And so basically they're very, very worried. And they're like, yo, hey, do you see this thing that's happening right now in Germany and Belgium where like the streets are covered in water? Yeah, that's going to be like coastal cities everywhere. So you should be prepared. We they were talking about Florida in this article. They're like, hey, in Florida, get ready. If you're, say, in Louisiana, maybe get a little prepared. So basically everywhere that has a coastal city, they are warning, hey, look, I know it's not a thing right now, but roughly a decade from now, it's going to be very, very bad. The lunar cycle is expected to get crazy during that time. The wobble will be bad. And so they said there's going to be like nuisance floods or, just like even sunny day floods where like there isn't even rain. There's no other source of water. It's just the tide rises in an unpredictable way. And suddenly a thing that would not flood before is now flooded. And there's nothing you can really do about it because no one was expecting it. And so they were saying that we are predicting an exponential amount of flood. And so a great example is that in 2019, there were over 600 floods that were reported in the US. And the projection wise is like, it's going to be way worse than that. We're talking multiples worse than that. And that's, something to consider and think about, that while the rest of the solar system and planet, and it's doing its own thing. And we're just like adding to it. Stuff can get bad already without us being around. Every time someone talks about solar flares and things, it's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Solar flares, like that can happen. But like, we're definitely not helping. So
no, we are not.
Yeah. And it's one of those things.
It reminds me of that clip of Ben Shapiro where he's like, I don't understand why it's such a big deal. If that's going to happen, you're just going to sell your homes and move away. And somebody was like, to who, Ben? Who sell your home to who? Who would buy that fucking house, bro?
Yeah.
Who's going to move into my flooded home where nobody's allowed to live anymore? You fucking idiot.
And it's definitely one of those things where the problem, and this is why I think it's a huge thing, is everyone's solution is like, hey, recycle, get an electric car. But it's like, this is governmental change that needs to happen. There needs to be like corporate change. Like, as much as you want to recycle, at the end of the day, the major pollution things are not like you and I.
This is going to happen. We're not going to figure out a way to lower the sea level.
Yeah.
That's not in the cards.
Can't do that.
This is already going to happen. So get ready as time goes on for a lot more things that are just going to happen if we don't buckle down and make this a priority in our lives.
Yeah. What's messed up is we will buckle down once it's already too bad. Once stuff is horrible, then we'll be like, we really need to fight the change on this. It's what people do all the time. No
Cut
one
to
is
a
ever out
supercut
there
of
like
floods and tsunamis from all before this year.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, like, it's no one's ever out there like, man, I really need to cut back on eating burgers before they're fat. It's one of those. No one ever does that. Like, humanity, that's who we are. We're like, oh man, I really should, start walking more. It's like, oh, you could have done that already, but like, all right.
Fingers crossed. We, something gets done, but be ready. Like Jesse said, just be fucking ready.
I mean, it is, like Alex pointed out, it's going to happen. Like, this isn't like a hypothesis. They know there's a cycle, and they know that we're coming up on another one of these cycles. And that's just like, it's what's going to happen. And it's going to be a rough decade. The 2030s for at least water. Who knows what else is going to happen? But at least for water levels in the 2030s, it's going to be rough.
Water's going to be a problem in a lot of ways. Let's put it that way. So get ready for that. And fucking, take care of the goddamn planet however you can. It sounds like it's like one-sided political rhetoric coming from one side of the political spectrum. But this is like, it's not like there's two separate Earths, bros. You got to figure this shit out. It's not like
only one home right now.
The house is on fire.
If you're like the most,
we got to put that shit out.
Capitalist, it's like, I got to make money any way I can. I don't care if I burn down the trees. Eventually, this will affect your bottom dollar. Just put it out there. Like, you'd be a fool not to be concerned about the environment, because eventually, like, no one can drive your car if the road is water. You know?
Your money's not going to do any good if the stores are flooded.
Yeah.
Wild. Anyway, on that note, take care of the planet, everybody. We'll be back next week.
And each other.
And each other. Love one another. Be good to each other. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Peace.
Anyway, me and my wife were sitting outside indulging on our porch one night, enjoying ourselves. I needed to go to the bathroom, so I stepped back inside, and after a few moments, I hear my wife go, "Holy shit, get out of here." So I quickly dash back outside, and she's looking up at the sky in awe. I look up too, and there's a perfect line of dozen lights traveling across the sky.